So let's explore Grattan Beach. So Grattan Beach in Salthill, Galway City has a rich history dating back to the 19th century. In the early 1800s, the sea had encroached inland almost as far as Sea Road and Nye Lodge, with the area near Recorder's Quay, where the Galway Business School is, being affected too. In 1863, Lady Grattan, a relative of Henry Grattan, they funded the construction of Grattan Road and the accompanying embankment to reclaim approximately 28 acres of swampy land. This project not only transformed the landscape of Salthill and Grattan, but it also provided employment for over, say, 200 labourers and masons during a period of particular distress because of joblessness in Galway. This newly constructed road, sometimes referred to as the Tenpenny Road, due to the weekly wage paid to workers, had significantly enhanced access to Salthill and contributed to its development as a most favoured seaside destination. In the early 1900s, the promenade was a narrow, rough roadway without any seats or flower beds, and the beach was largely covered in rocks and seaweed. So improvements began in the 1940s, leading to the promenade we recognise today. And I think that was called the Griffiths Review or the Griffiths Evaluation. So in February 1957, a violent storm had caused significant damage along Grattan Road, and the high sandbank on the seaweed side collapsed, allowing seawater to flood homes and caused extensive property damage. So while Salthill, of course, has been a victim, say, of heavy storms, it is quite easy to recover. So today, Grattan Road and the beach serve as both a recreational area and an educational resource. Grattan Beach, in particular, is recognised as a model for ocean literacy, offering opportunities to learn about its biodiversity, tides, and of course conservation matters. A side note, as well as the story maps, there are other maps like Infomar seabed mapping, and what I found really insightful or incredibly cool was that sometimes when we do a rock pool on Grattan Beach, you would see tons of mud, and you'd always be thinking, how is there mud in Grattan? But if you look at the Infomar maps, you will actually see that through the seabed mapping, that there's actually a lot of mud in Galway Bay, and you're thinking, well, where does the mud come from? But we know from the Barna logboat in the aquarium that Galway Bay was actually covered in trees, and that's where all the mud comes from. So I think that was just a really insightful, because we've done so much work on talking about the sand on Grattan Beach and how precious it is, that anyone would have thought that the ocean sure is full of sand, but that's not true. There's actually lots of silt and mud in the sand, and sand is actually an incredibly valuable resource. It's very limited. So we just thought before we go on to part two, we just thought we'd share that little bit of information about Grattan. So part two is coming next.